Hey, and what's up, guys? So, Ace Anime, Kamiko Anime, whatever you want to call me, I don't mind. You can even just call me James, my name. So, what will we be talking about today? You'll see it up above. Fourth form of Haki. Now, this is just theory. Speculating what possibilities there are of this happening. So, I'm going to give just some ideas, some possibilities, and I'm going to sort of relate why it can happen, why I believe it is real, and finally, what you have to do to achieve this fourth form of Haki. So, what is this fourth form of Haki going to be? As we all know, we have armament, we have Kenbushoku, which is observation, and we have King's Haki, Conqueror's Haki. So you're probably thinking at this point, what other form of Haki could there be? There's one that literally knocks people out. There's one that allows you to even see into the future, as we've seen with Katakuri. And there's one that literally just makes your arms and your legs, or whatever you're hitting with, strong enough to actually hit low gears. Well, my fourth form of Haki, what I believe it is something that relates to the seawater itself. Now, as we all know, the seawater is one of the biggest things in this whole fantasy One Piece series. Now, the seawater affects everything. It affects devil fruit users, it affects the Grand Line, it affects how they travel. It has so much need in this world, it has so much need in this One Piece world. And I see this is the perfect time that we've seen Haki, we've seen King's Haki affect the environment when it split the skies, when Whitebeard and Shanks clashed. So what's not to say that this fourth form of Haki is not we could call it an awakened form of Conqueror's Haki in that sense, where they are able to manipulate the seawater itself and manipulate the weather in the seawater. Think about it. Now, I was thinking, how does this happen? How is there any proof? And I got it from the Shiki movie. I was watching Shiki vs. Roger, and all of a sudden, when Shiki was fighting Roger, these crazy waves, this crazy weather happens, and Roger is standing at the front of the boat smiling. Now, I thought, well, why didn't it affect Roger's ship? Did he know that it was going to just get that area, or was there something else? And it came down to it finally. I was sitting there thinking, and I went, it had to be related to his Haki, or to his power. And I do not believe Roger had a devil fruit, so it had to relate to his Haki. Now, I believe that this fourth form of Haki is, well, what would I call it? I wouldn't call it the Conqueror's Haki. I would call it God's Haki, or Angels or Devil's Haki. You know what? I believe, I'm going to just be truthful, I believe it relates to the will of D, or it relates to the ability to use Conquerors and all the other Hakis to a mastered level. So I believe it's called the Devil's Haki. And what it means is relates to Devil's Luck. And it may seem like the Devil's Luck. That is why it originally got that name, I believe. And that's the name I believe it shall have. Now, as we have seen, Roger possibly, I'm not saying he has, but I believe he did use this against Shiki. And the possibilities and the amazing thing it would add to this story and add to the plot, it would give not only non-devil fruit users this extra edge over devil fruit users, but it would also allow Luffy to finally sort of have another Haki. So, as we all know, Sanji is observation specialist, Zoro is the armament, and Luffy is the conquerors. Now, what if this changes as it goes on in the series, and Usopp becomes observation, Sanji becomes the armament, the next armament sort of level, and Zoro is then the Conqueror's, sort of like Rayleigh's specialty, where his Conqueror's Haki is just so OP. And then fourth, there is Luffy, who has this fourth form of Haki, or Devil's Haki as I call it. Now, that would be awesome. Now, you're probably wondering, where am I getting this? Why would it be so good? If Luffy can then sort of overcome the danger that is seawater to his Devil Fruit, Luffy has an edge over people like Blackbeard, his main rival, Eustace Kid, a rival from the Supernovas. He can then use his main weakness as his main strength to fight against these monsters. Blackbeard is a monster. He has not only the Guru Guru no Mi or the Yummy Yummy no Mi, he has to have Haki to be an emperor. He has to have this. So he is an absolute monster. Luffy needs this edge, and this is the edge that I see. So what are the main breakdown of the Devil's Haki? Well, I believe this is going to be the main breakdown. It will, one, allow them to nullify Devil Fruit users to an extent. I'm not saying they completely nullify the powers, but it will be like Seawater, it will be like Armament Haki. But the thing is, instead of Armament Haki where it allows them to hit it, it not only allows them to hit them, but when they touch them, they cannot use that part of their body's powers. They can't use the powers of the Devil Fruit at that stage. So it's like the Sea Stone Shackles, where they cannot use the power. They don't have that ability. Now, the next part is the manipulation of weather, the manipulation of the sea. If they can manipulate the sea to have these sort of effects, this power, they can control essentially the Grand Line. They can that's why he was the Pirate King, because he could control this, I believe. He had this power to be able to manipulate the seas to his own will. He didn't need to be able to fight. Like, I'm not saying Roger couldn't fight, but think about it. If you are in the One Piece world and you can control the seas with your own Haki, with your own will, you don't need to fight. You just literally click your fingers and there goes their ship. It's gobbled up by the sea. The sea is the most dangerous weapon possible within this One Piece series. Now, as I've explained what I believe it could do, what I believe it's called. Now, the characters I believe that have it. So far, I believe there is only 4 plausible characters of having it. The first is Roger, obviously, as I stated, when he versed Shiki. Second is Shanks. And the third is Whitebeard. Now, I'll go over this one. As we already saw, their Conqueror's Haki affect the sky. But another sort of instance I sort of saw with supporting Shanks more than Whitebeard is Shanks coming to Marineford so quickly after meeting up with Kaido. I'm not going to say he fought, because if he fought Kaido, that is really sad that he low-diffed Kaido or whatever. It's sort of disappointing. I believe he either just had a clash or they talked it out and he left. And the fourth is Kaido. I believe Kaido has the ability of this fourth form of Haki, because I believe the fourth form of Haki also varies depending on the user. So depending on the user's will, if the user has a dark or an evil will, their power is obviously going to be different to something of good. And that is where I believe that the 21 Kings of Tenryubuto were created, and where the Will of D was created. They both had their different wills, and they could manipulate this fourth form of Haki. It has similar effects, but I believe it allows control to a certain level to differ, but it also gives them certain abilities. So like with Kaido, his durability, I do not believe it's only from his Devil Fruit or his amazing armament Haki, but I believe it's from this fourth form of Haki. And the thing that this fourth form of Haki, I believe it being called the Devil's Haki or the Angel's Haki or whatever, is it has a drawback. And Kaido wants to die. His drawback is he is now immortal because of this fourth form of Haki. Where Shanks, if you think of Shanks as one, I don't know what Shanks' possibility could be, of what his drawback could be. Could be that he does no longer want to be the king of the pirates or something. Maybe he was once that. I believe it takes away your greatest want or your greatest will. Now, do I see Luffy getting this? Yes, and I see him overcoming this curse just like Roger must have. Because Roger's dream was to become the king of the pirates. And if he had this fourth form of Haki, he had to overcome it. And I believe that is the actual perfection of the fourth form of Haki. To perfect it, you have to overcome its curse. Now, this curse could even be related to the illness or whatever. I'm just saying that is the drawback I see from this Haki. Similar to how everything has a drawback so far in this series. Observation Haki even has a drawback. Armament, even Conqueror's Haki, they all have drawbacks. As we saw, Luffy's Haki ran out when fighting Doflamingo Cracker. If one's Haki is not strong enough, it will not overcome another's. So there is, and Devil Fruits, the Sea Stone, and all of that. There is so many weaknesses for everything, and that is what I believe the weakness is for this one. It takes away your will. The thing that you want most, you cannot achieve unless you overcome the curse of it. Now, how do I believe they achieve this? Now, I have 3 main theories for this. Number 1, they have to perfect, obviously, I believe this is just going to be monetary. Like, this has to be for everything. They have to perfect all their Haki. So they have to have perfect armament, perfect conquerors, and perfect observation. So I mean to like above category level for observation, so they can see into the future. There's nothing like how Rayleigh could see into the past and understand the situation. I believe it also has to be at that level as well. So such an understanding of observation Haki to that level. Armament will have to be so freely used. Like, I believe it would. I can't even imagine where armament could go to. I believe it would have to be like you can use it on Devil Fruit. Like, you can use it with your Devil Fruit. So if you are a Logia, you can actually turn. Let's say you're a Wind Logia. Yep, you can actually turn the air into the armament without having to lose that wind form. So I believe it's such a perfection of armament that you can use it no matter what, or that you can keep it activated for an unlimited amount of time. So stamina with the armament. And Conqueror as well. For a quick example, Shanks is in Whitebeard's where they split the sky. Shanks is where he does physical damage with his own Conqueror's Haki, his own Conqueror's Will, to Whitebeard's ship. That is where I believe that all the Hakis have to be at such a high level that it literally affects the environment around them, similar to an awakening. So essentially what I'm saying this fourth form of Haki is an awakening of all 3 Hakis conjoined together. It affects the environment itself. Now, one of the others, so we've done number 1. Number 2, I believe it has to be if you don't have a Devil Fruit. Now, that would be really cool if you had to not have a Devil Fruit to use this Haki. That would be really cool, but that sort of throws out my theory then of people like Whitebeard, people like Kaido having it. So it's, you know what, it's not really confirmed that, you know, that there is this 4th form of Haki, but I see those 2 as having it. So I sort of throw out that idea as a maybe, but it's not really a positive or a negative. Like, if they don't have it, it would be cool if someone like Shanks and Roger had it because they didn't have a Devil Fruit, which would also give non-Devil Fruit users that edge that they need against people that do have these amazing powers. And third, I believe this is probably the most important, where I got the name from, which is like Devil's Haki or Angel's Haki, is the Will of D. I believe that they have to be related or have the Will of D in some way. So whether they've got the Will of D given or like passed on to them by someone who had the Will of D, like Roger passed it on to Shanks and such through the hat, or Luffy who had it throughout his family, Monkey D. Dragon, Monkey D. Garp, all of that. Whether it has to be that, I believe it has something to do with it. The Will of D has something to do with this 4th form of Haki and whether people can achieve it. Because remember, the Will of D is meant to be against gods. They're meant to be the demons in a sense, because they go against the Tenryubito, which are the supposed gods of the One Piece world. And you know what? I believe this would be the perfect thing for them to have. Now, I don't know what you guys think, but if you do agree, or if you have your own theory, leave a comment in the comment section below. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, so a like, and subscribe. Hit the red button and subscribe. But if it's not red, stay tuned for more One Piece news. Anyway, guys,